literal song title is Another Postcard. We're looking at John 8, 31 through 59. Some people just call it the chimpanzee song. Make reference to it in just a minute. Before we get there, though, Luke 4. Luke 4, 1 through 13 was the story that we looked at Thursday in Vacation Bible School. And it sets the stage for what's taking place in John 8, what kind of started in John 5 and 6 and 7 and led up to this moment that we're looking at today. Satan approaches Jesus in the wilderness. And Luke says at the beginning of that, Jesus was in the wilderness 40 days being tempted of the devil. And so we know it's not just the 3 that we see at the end. We know that it's an ongoing process. That he's there from the beginning of the fasting. He's there when he walks out of the waters of baptism. And he follows him into the wilderness. And he's hounding him. And I want you to catch verse 13 in Luke 4. When he had finished all of those temptations, Satan went away until a more opportune time. It did not start with turn this pile of stones into bread, and it did not end when they walked out of the wilderness. Luke chapter 4 and verse 13 is Luke's way of saying that Satan is going to dog every step Jesus takes. That he is going to be there every moment. He is going to lurk around every corner. He's going to try to catch him off guard. He's going to try to find a chink in the armor. He's going to look for a moment when Jesus is weaker. He's keyed on hunger and he's keyed on the mission. He is trying, and this is our thought today, to wear him down. That if he keeps coming back often enough, if he keeps catching him off guard or trying to catch him off guard, that sooner or later he can convince Jesus to stumble. He can convince him to sin. He can convince him to change the plan. And that is our connection with the intro, the postcard song, the chimpanzee song. If you're not familiar with it, the singer is singing about how many postcards he gets in the mail with chimpanzees, with monkeys on them. And if you ever go through and look at the postcard rack, or you look at the Hallmark rack of cards, there's constantly a monkey or a chimpanzee dressed up as something silly, doing something silly, and that's the theme of the card. The songwriter says they come anonymously. They leave no trail. I never thought I'd have an admirer from overseas, but somebody's sending me stationery filled with chimpanzees. And then he describes some of the ones he gets. They're in swimsuits. They're swinging from a vine. They're wearing jack boots. They wish they could be mine. Starsky and Hutch chimps. And for those of you younger than me, you'll have to go look that one up. This generation, I promise you, has no idea who Starsky and Hutch were. Dutch tramps from Amsterdam. Another postcard. Everyone addressed to me. Keep listening. If I had to guess, I'd say the monkey sender thinks it's great. He or she is sending them to me to see me get irate. They are trying to get under my skin. They are trying to get my attention. I'm beginning to lose sleep. It's keeping me up at night. I thought it was funny, but now I have money on a monkey fight. Then he says, I packed up and moved. I changed my address. No matter what, they come and they come. They won't leave me alone. Another monkey in the mail, I might lose my mind, but look at me shuffling through the stack until I find. The sender has worn down the recipient. I'm looking for them now. It's gotten to the point it has gotten under my skin. He has my attention. Review John for a minute. Review everything that takes place from the baptism of Jesus to John chapter 8. Satan is trying to get under his skin. Satan is trying to get him to reach the point that he's no longer focused on anything else. He's searching the mail for the next temptation, and that he's giving in. Paralyzed man at the pool. Jesus does a good thing, and yet it leads to what? Them persecuting him. Oh, he's a Sabbath breaker. We have some huge issues with him. And so we're going to begin to do Satan's work for him. We are going to dog him every step of the way, to the point in verse 18 they are seeking to kill him. Chapter 6, the crowds want to make him king. Pause for a second. Have you ever connected John 6 after he has fed them with the wilderness temptation? Jesus, why don't you jump from the temple? Let everybody see it. You become a crowd pleaser and you draw the masses to you. You can be the king without the crown of thorns. You can be the king without the cross. Satan's come back. Satan's come back right there when he feeds 5,000, and he's whispering, you can be the king. And the crowd's going along with it. Let's make him the king. They're arguing with him. He reminds them, or he tells them, he points out the motive. You didn't come to me because you saw a miracle. You came to me because you ate. And this goes back and forth and back and forth. And then this huge chunk bails. You don't think that's Satan working? Jesus, you're losing the crowds. Let them make you the king. Show them another miracle. Feed them again. Keep the masses. And if you have come as the Son of God to establish a kingdom on earth and change the world, when you see those crowds walking away from you, there has to be a temptation to do something to get them back. Chapter 7, he goes up to the feast. Remember, his brothers had been the prompters then. They had been whispering the Satan things in his ears. We're really not sure who you claim to be. Why don't you reveal yourself? Why don't you show everybody? When he gets there, what's going on in the temple? Well, some are grumbling. Some are confronting. Some are believing. Some are trying to seize him. The leaders even get together and send officers. They send the temple guard to arrest him and bring him to them. John 8, the trap that we looked at recently with the woman caught in adultery. Verse 13 there in that chapter, they say, look, we don't believe anything you say. No, we're just not going to accept it. Then John 8. John 8, continuing on in our text, look at what's taking place. Hopefully you listened to what was being read. I don't know if you've ever noticed this. This is huge in John 8. Verse 30, it says some of them believed, right? So verse 31 and verse 32 says that he is addressing whom? He is addressing those who believed. Watch how quickly that derails. Watch how quickly they go from believing to what? Oh, you've got a demon. You're a Samaritan. You've lost your mind. You need to be locked up. But he turns to those who supposedly believe. And he said, stay in the Word. Stay in the Word and you can be my disciples. And if you are my disciples, by being in that Word, it can make you free. This is how quick it is. We've gone from 30 to 32, and they're like, whoa, Jesus, slow your roll. We don't believe anymore. We're going to back out of this conversation because we're children of Abraham. We have never been enslaved. Jesus is a lot nicer at that point than I would have been. Okay. To me, I'm like, no, it's story time. Let's talk about your history, Israel. You were slaves to the Egyptians. When we get to the book of Judges, you were slaves to Moab, to Jabin the king of Canaan, to Midian, to Ammon, to the Philistines repeatedly. You've been slaves to Babylon. You've been slaves to the Medes and the Persians. You've been slaves to the Greeks. And oh, by the way, Jews, you're slaves to Rome right now. So you've always been free? They're trying to back out because they don't even understand what he's talking about. Now, granted, Jesus is with a spiritual thread here. And so he's going to go back to that. He said, I'm trying to get you to understand that sin's your master. Sin is the issue. That is what is enslaving you. But you can't even see it in your physical life. So I now understand why you're missing it in your spiritual lives. Verse 35 and verse 36, I'm trying to free you. I'm trying to help you get it. And I'm being patient, and I'm explaining it to you over and over and over. And yet you who claim to be believers, just back in verse 30, he said, you're really still part of this conspiracy. You're really just out to kill me. And they're going to make that prophecy come through before the chapter closes. Jesus, you're absolutely right. So why? Why is it that you're going to claim to be believers, but you're still part of this conspiracy? It's because they are physical descendants of Abraham, but not spiritual descendants. Jesus said, look, we both inherited our messages. I got mine from my father. You were supposed to, you claim to have got your message from your physical father. But that's not your true father. You actually got your message from a spiritual father, and I'll get to that in just a second. Oh, no, Jesus. No, verse 39, our father is Abraham. All right, we trace our lineage. We know who we are. Then do what he did. You want to be a child of Abraham? Abraham believed. Abraham obeyed. Abraham went into the wilderness and was going to sacrifice Isaac to me. And at that point I said, because you have done that, I will bless you. Don't claim to be descendants of Abraham. Be descendants. Show yourselves to be descendants. Verse 40, instead, you're trying to kill me. My message, my truth, is straight from God. And yet you're trying to kill me. So verse 41, he looks at them and he says, you are not doing the deeds of the Father that you claim. All right. He's very blunt. He's very plain. He's kind about it, but he's just very straight. You are not doing the deeds of Abraham, the father that you claim. But now he's going to give them that identity. You're doing the deeds of your true father. Huh? This is going to come back around in just a second. And at this moment, they fire shots at Jesus. Have you seen it? Shots fired, baby. We know who our Father is. We're not illegitimate children. It's veiled, but it's a very thin veil. Jesus, do you know who your Father is? We've heard the rumors. We know your story. They are trying to deflect all the attention from themselves back onto Jesus. We know our Father. Our Father's God. We're going to go back past Abraham. We're going to go all the way back to God. So Jesus says in verse 42, really? All right, really? You're going to make that claim? Then what's the problem? I came from him too. You don't recognize me? You don't know me? You don't believe me? I came straight from him. I'm here in front of you because he sent me. I'm here in front of you because of the miraculous birth that he caused to happen. Where's the love for me? If we have the same Father, where is the love for me? I was sent by him. In verse 43, you can hear his heart breaking. How can you not understand? How is it that it never sinks in with you? And then he explains it to him. He said, it's because you're not listening. You may hear the sounds that come out of my mouth, but it is not sinking in. And the reason that is true, the reason you are confused, is because of your real ancestry, your real identity. And so Jesus reads their birth certificate to them. And it's awful. He said, your father is Satan. Not by bloodline, but by action, by belief. Your father's a murderer. Your father has been a liar from the beginning. You've never heard the truth, therefore you cannot recognize it. Your spiritual genealogy is why you cannot understand me. Because you have been fed lies by Satan to the point that you cannot see the truth. You grew up on lies, and that is all that you understand. And when you hear the truth, it confuses you. When you hear the truth, you cannot accept it because it's not what you already thought you knew. Verse 46, by the way, I'll tell you what, he said, I'll stop at this point and I'll just put it out there for you. What's my sin? Identify it. You know, what did I do to cause you to not think I'm telling you the truth? If you can point it out to me, then there's an issue. But if there is no sin that you can find in my life, believe me, listen to me, hear the words that come out of my mouth, but you cannot hear me because my word comes from God. You're used to hearing words from Satan, mine's coming from God, they don't connect, and so you cannot hear what I'm saying. And they refuse to look in the mirror. He has laid it all out there in front of them. and they refuse to look in the mirror. So, Jesus, that kind of hurts. We're going to turn it back on you. You have a demon. An inability to face the truth, so they have to deflect. You have a demon. And in verse 49, the fact that you think I have a demon makes absolutely no sense. I healed a man. I healed another man. I've healed other people. I tell you truth straight from the book. And you think I have a demon? That is disrespectful. And it's disrespectful to me, and it's disrespectful to the one who sent me. I'm the one showing respect for the Father in this conversation, not you. In verse 50, Jesus goes back to, and we've looked at this over and over and over in these traits of Jesus. It's about Him. It's about Him. And I am trying to offer you eternal life. I am trying to offer you a point where you step into this light that I am, you partake of this bread that I am, you partake of this water that I am, and you will never die. And this is too much for them. Who do you think you are? Abraham died. The prophets died. And they're not sure he heard them, so they repeat themselves. Abraham died. The prophets died. Are you greater than them? Everybody dies and you're going to offer eternal life? And he said, absolutely, because it's not about who I am presenting myself as. It is about who He says I am. And He says I'm the Son. He says I'm the Messiah. He points to me and says, that's my beloved Son in whom I'm well pleased. The very one you claim is your God has identified me. So you really do not know Him. I do. Now, if I really don't know Him, I'm a liar just like you. But I do know Him. And the evidence is seen in my life. The evidence is in the obedience. And I love verse 56 and following. He's worked. He's tried to get them to understand. He's held up the mirror so they can see themselves in the law. He's given them their birth certificate. And so finally, he says, you know what? Abraham rejoiced in the moment that you're rejecting. And they lose it. They lose it on him. You're kidding, right? You're what? 30, 31, 32 years old. You're not even 50 years old. And Abraham rejoiced in this moment. Abraham died centuries ago. We just talked about this, Jesus. Those people die in their time. Before Abraham was, I am. And for the first time, he has used that. It finally really and truly hits home with them. And you can almost see them stumble backwards at what he's just said. And then they reach for the rocks. They get it, but they don't get it in a good way. They are ready to try to stone him again. Really quickly, Jesus traits in this story patience. It's so easy to get frustrated when you're trying to help someone see the truth. And he or she cannot open his or her eyes and get it. Jesus explains, and he explains, and he explains. And when they don't get it one way, he explains it another way. And when they don't get it that way, he explains it another way. So a Jesus trait for us today is explain. Second one is the ability to stay focused and not give in. Satan is sending chimp postcards to Jesus every day. He's constantly hounding him. He is constantly pestering him. He's poking him. He's antagonizing him. He is trying to wear him down. Jesus, take the kingship. Take it in the wilderness. Now you won't take it there. Take it in John chapter 6. Take the kingship. Take the easy way out. Jesus, lose your cool with them. Yeah, they're my children. Yeah, they were raised on lies. They're not going to understand what you're saying. And so they're going to keep asking, just lose your cool on them. Jesus, get frustrated and give up. Realize that you're not going to reach them the way you want to, so just quit. Just go back home. You know, you don't have to die on the cross, but you don't have to interrupt my life either. Just go home. Thanks be to God, it never works. Tempted in all points like we are, yet without sin. But here's what you're taking home with you today. If he dogged God in the flesh every step of the way, if he dogged Jesus, if he hounded him, what does that say about the way he will pursue us? He's going to be there. Every time we're weak, every time we're tired, every time we're a little bit frustrated. He started out on Jesus when he walked out of the Jordan. When Jesus came up out of the waters of baptism, the Spirit drove him into the wilderness, and 40 days of one-on-one confrontation with Satan began. When you walk out of the baptistry, the pool, the river, wherever it was you were baptized, he was standing on the bank. And he was ready to go to battle. And he has never quit. His goal is to wear us down over time. He hammered Jesus when he was tired, when he was hungry. Jesus, you hadn't eaten in 40 days. Turn those rocks into bread. Think about if he came to us that way. John, you hadn't eaten in a week. Steal that steak from somebody. Hey, it's a temptation and there is no lie there. That's Satan. He's looking for the moment when there is a chink in the armor. When there is one scale that is missing in the armor, and he can key in on that. And he has limitless resources to wear you down. One wave doesn't work, he sends the next wave. We've been looking at that from John 5 through John 8. Crowds aren't working, we will send the temple guards. Temple guards aren't working, we'll send scribes and Pharisees. Scribes and Pharisees aren't working, we'll send those who claim to believe. Wave after wave after wave. But the answer is in the wilderness. And I pointed this out to the kids Thursday. Spiritual dedication. Jesus is there praying, fasting, and meditating. And number 2 was knowledge of the Word. He had prepared himself ahead of time for this battle. And when Satan showed up, he had the armor in place to deflect the arrows. He's going to try to wear you down. He's going to send you postcards in the mail every day to remind you that he's watching, that he's dogging. Stay strong. Stay strong in the Word. Stay strong in the relationship. Stay strong in the traits that we're talking about. And stay strong in the family. And if you need to respond to the invitation this morning, because maybe he found a chink in the armor this past week, or if you need to respond because you need to obey the gospel, and set up in the kingdom with the rest of us to fight him. Please come as we stand and sing.